Am I the a-hole for not letting my daughter live with me after my ex kicked her out? My ex-wife, 45 female, and I, 46 male, divorced 3 years ago and have 3 kids together, 24 male, 22 female, and 17 female. Since our 2 older kids were already moved out and in college when we divorced, the only custody and child support issue we had was our youngest daughter, Mary, who was 14 when we split. My ex wanted full custody while I was pushing for shared custody. I had moved into an apartment at this time, and Mary would stay with her mom during the week because it was easier for school. She would come stay with me on weekends though. I answered any questions Mary had about our divorce, but I made it a point to never say anything negative. I didn't want Mary to think that anything she had done was the cause for our divorce. I cherished the weekends we spent together, and from everything I saw, Mary enjoyed our time together too. So it came as a huge surprise when Mary read a statement during a custody hearing stating that she felt I was unfit as a parent and that she wanted to live with my ex full-time. The pain I felt listening to her say those things cut me to my very core. I tried to talk with Mary after the hearing, but my ex stepped between us and told me to leave them both alone. I was heartbroken. Since then, I've only had rare visitations with Mary because she has consistently said that she wants nothing to do with me. No matter how bad it hurts, I never pushed her to spend any more time with me than she wanted to. I have paid every cent of child support and also continued contributing to her college fund. I have had many conversations with my other kids about Mary because I was so surprised by this change of behavior. They have both told me that Mary hasn't said anything specific to them about why she made the choice she did. Communication between my ex and I is not good, and she pretty much refuses to discuss anything related to Mary, who is going into her senior year of high school. I have recently moved in with my girlfriend of 1 year and her 3 kids, all under 15. Things have been good, and I'm happier than I've been since the divorce. But a few weeks ago, I got a surprise call from Mary. She said that my ex had kicked her out of the house, and she had nowhere else to go. I immediately told her that I would help any way I can. After talking with my girlfriend, we agreed to let Mary stay with us for a few days while we get things figured out. I talked with my ex, and it turns out Mary has been struggling with substance use and threw a huge party at my ex's house and trashed the place. After another talk with my girlfriend, we decided that we do not have the space to house Mary permanently. And with her current issues, my girlfriend does not feel comfortable having Mary around her kids, who have zero relationship with Mary. It broke my heart again, but I had to tell Mary that she can't stay with us. She yelled and screamed at me and reminded me that I said I would help. She's since gone back to my ex, and I know Mary needs help, but both her and my ex are refusing to speak with me. Now for the top comments. Your daughter is a minor. Your ex, who has full custody of her, cannot legally kick her out. If she does and the child lives with you, she will have to pay you child support. But also, dude, work on your relationship with your child. True, hate to say it, but Opie may need to get the authorities involved. Sounds like it's possible the ex orchestrated all of this. Info, have you considered that your ex might be lying or exaggerating the drug problem? Have you offered your daughter some form of rehab where she can live? When Mary was at our house, I talked to her about this. She said she just used weed and hasn't done anything else. She admits to throwing a party and that it got out of hand and some things in the house were damaged. I tried to suggest rehab or counseling, and she got defensive and told me that I can't expect her to listen to me when I've been out of her life for so long. Everyone sucks here, but I honestly think you're the a-hole. Through the entire post, you're upset about Mary not wanting to live with you and how hurt you were by the statement she made in court. Now you have the opportunity to spend time with your daughter and figure out why she said those things and what went wrong in your relationship. But instead of taking that opportunity, you tossed her out instead. Sounds like she was right to not want anything to do with you, if that's your idea of being a father. I don't have custody of Mary. My ex does. I do not know the legal implications of letting her live with us. Also, the house we live in belongs to my girlfriend, not me. I can't force her to allow Mary to live with us. She has her own kids to look out for. None of them have any relationship with Mary, so I don't blame her for being wary and cautious. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife and her parents that I won't force my youngest to call her mom? I have 2 children with my late wife. We had our oldest when we were just 20, and 6 years later we had our youngest. 3 months after the birth of our youngest, my wife died suddenly and unexpectedly. I found out after her passing that she'd had a heart condition that she was never made aware of. I was told to get both my kids tested, and both inherited a condition from their mom. That period of my life was traumatic as heck. Luckily, I had so many videos and photos of their mom to share. We also had her dad, who was amazing and the best grandpa to the kids. My son remembered his mom. My daughter was too young, but she's heard so much about her mom from her family. 2 years ago, I started seriously dating my current wife. I have known her for 4 years, and she met my kids once we got more serious, but not where we rushed into moving in. The kids are now 7 and 13. We've been married for a little over 5 months. We had talked about her relationship with the kids before we got engaged. She told me she wanted to be seen as another mom to them, so I spoke to my kids. My son was clear that she would never be a second mom. My daughter said she wasn't sure, but she didn't feel that way about her. I told them both their feelings were 100% understandable and fine. They both said they liked my current wife and they thought she was kind. I spoke to her about it then, and she told me she was fine if they weren't okay with it at a time. I told her she needed to be okay with it if they always felt that way. I told her she needed to be prepared for always being step to both of them. She took some time to think and said it was fine. But once our wedding happened, she seemed to grow agitated by the lack of mom title for my daughter. I think it bothers her less with my son because of his age, but she has told me she does feel different about it with my daughter because she is the only mom figure she has known. I suggested the two of us to go to therapy together to talk it out again, but she said it wasn't needed and that she would get over it. But then last week, she and her parents brought it up to me, how I should encourage my daughter to call her mom, and how my daughter deserves to have a mom in her life, how she'll never know her birth mother, which I hate that term for my late wife. They told me pushing her is the best thing for my daughter, but I told them I would never push her to do it, that her comfort in all of this is important to me, and feeling like nothing is forced on her. They told me I was putting my kids' feelings before my wife's, and I said yes. They told me I was a horrible husband and a horrible father for denying them both this. My wife's mother said I was an a-hole to string her daughter along. I told my wife we need therapy with us, and also told her our marriage was hanging on by a thread. In truth, I'm doubting our marriage over this. The kids do like her a lot and enjoy having her around, which makes this suck extra hard. Am I the a-hole? They told me I was putting my kids' feelings before my wife's. I said yes. Freaking legend. Not the a-hole. I sincerely hope Opie also looked at them like they were stupid when he said yes. Because honestly, the gall of these people to expect him to subjugate his child's emotional needs and growth to his wife's wants. Not even a want. It's a whim at best. What does it matter if they consider her as a mom or as a thundercat? As long as they get along well and they respect her, it doesn't matter. My condolences on the loss of your wife. How incredibly heartbreaking. Also, not the whole. It irks me that your current wife refers to your first wife as a birth mother. That stings. I hope the kids were not in earshot. It makes me smile to read about your keeping your wife's memory alive. Those kids are blessed to have you as their dad. If your current wife will not agree to counseling and continues to push the issue, which she had agreed to drop, it's time to consider a change. It stung for me too, and I can't put all the reasons into words. It feels so dismissive, like she walked out on our daughter or gave her up for adoption. But my late wife was an amazing mom. She was a really thoughtful mom too. I learned so much from parenting alongside her. Sounds like you have a huge decision to make very soon regarding your marriage, my dude. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not wanting my husband on the deed? I, 37 female, have been married to my husband, 38 male, for 10 years. We both worked good jobs, had a house with a mortgage, and otherwise lived normal lives, until 5 years ago when everything turned upside down. My husband has always liked to gamble. It was never excessive. Poker night with the boys, a couple of trips to Las Vegas, the lottery, and that was it. Or so I thought. Eventually, all the lies and the secrets came out. He'd been gambling. A lot. Online illegal poker games, horse race betting, everything you could put money down on. He had secret credit cards, emptied our savings account without me realizing, and even took a loan out against our house, faking my signature to do so. Eventually, his brother convinced him to tell me. I'd always been good with money. I'd never been stupid. But I relaxed around my husband because I had no reason to believe he'd do something like this. We had to sell our house to pay off the loan and mortgage. We paid off some of the credit cards and bookies, but still had a mountain of debt. We even put off having kids because we were no longer financially secure. My dad, 72 male, came to our rescue. He had a decent pension enough to live on and gave me some of his savings to pay off the rest of the debt so we could rebuild. I had initially refused, but he said it was an early inheritance and I was desperate. My husband went to Gamblers Anonymous. He had to be completely transparent with his internet and phone usage with me and his brother. If he left to go out with friends, he would have to send a photo to show he wasn't gambling. I was tricked because I said it was that or I left. He hasn't gambled in 3 years. He did slip just before the 2-year mark, ended up losing $1,500 at poker. He apologized, continued on the meetings, and nothing since. My dad recently passed, and with the sale of his estate and his savings, we have enough to buy a house again, with only a small mortgage. The issue is, I don't want my husband on the deed. The idea of us losing everything again because he remortgaged/put a loan against the house terrifies me. I don't know how I would survive if we lost it all again. I broached the idea of just my name on the deed, and when I explained why, he called me an a-hole. He said I clearly don't trust him, and if I don't trust him, why am I still married to him? His brother also called me an a-hole, said I've seen how hard he's worked and I need to forgive him and just move forward. Am I the a-hole? Sorry, I should have made it clearer. Husband stopped gambling immediately 5 years ago, made it to nearly 2 years before the relapse, and has since been 3 consecutive years sober. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. It's your money that you're using to buy your house. House is yours. Only your name on the deed is good enough. The issue is he would be contributing to the mortgage. It isn't going to be huge. We will likely be able to pay it off in 5 to 6 years, so he would be paying something towards the house. Has he repaid you for what you've paid towards his debt? If not, his contribution to the mortgage is just what is paying you back for when he lost your house 5 years ago. Hubs is still in the negative here. OP doesn't share the total debt amount, but if it's large enough to warrant house sale, savings, and early inheritance from OP's dad, that's not a trifling sum. In the biz, we call that in the red. But gambling ruins families. Pretty much any addiction does. OP not the a-hole. You unfortunately have to make this tough decision for the good of everyone. He slipped up a year ago if I'm reading right. He will still have a place to live, and maybe in the future you two can sell this house and buy another. But for now, you have to look out for yourself. Not the a-hole. It's your money from the inheritance, so you get to decide how to use it. The simple fact you're still married to him demonstrates that you've forgiven him and moved on. You've earned the right to protect yourself by keeping only your name on the deed. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Now for the last story, am I the a-hole for telling my wife that she does nothing? I, 33 male, am married to Molly, 36 male. We have a son, Theo, 5 male. Molly and I got married 7 years ago, but both decided to focus on our careers before we jumped into anything ultra responsible, like children. I'm a journalist and she was a midwife, and we both did very well for ourselves. Our combined income meant we could actually survive this economy. Because we were so financially stable and kind of getting on the older end of the spectrum for children, we decided to have our first and only child, which is Theo, of course. When Theo was born, Molly and I both took time off work to spend the first few weeks with him. But eventually, my paid break ended and I was forced to go back to my job. Molly did not go back. In fact, Molly did not go back for so long that she was fired. This caused a giant rift between us at a time, but we came to the agreement that she could be a stay-at-home mom while I went to work. This worked out for a few months, until Theo started walking, and then Molly stopped doing anything around the house. She would go out with Theo all day, and I would inevitably come home to laundry everywhere. Toys scattered, kitchen a mess, and just no sense of cleanliness at all. I would end up having to clean the house after an 8-hour shift, only to have to work on reports. This has continued for the whole 5 years of Theo's life. Molly has been terrible at cleaning or taking care of the house at all, but she does good with Theo, feeding him, cleaning him, etc., but I'm always left to clean the messes afterwards. At the time, I thought maybe it was too much for her and asked if she wanted to hire a nanny while we both worked, but she refused. I've asked her to maybe clean up a little before I come home. She agreed, did it for a time, and then stopped. Yesterday I had enough. I came home from work only to find Play-Doh all over the living room, kitchen ingredients left out on the counters, water spilled over the hallway, toys everywhere, food on the floor. I feel need to clarify that I understand kids make messes. But this wasn't just Theo's mess, it was Molly's mess too. It was extra stress, and I finally snapped. I told Molly that I was done with it. and that I wasn't going to clean these messes anymore. And that it was practically her job to clean the house, and that she does literally nothing. So this should be easy for her. She snapped back saying that she takes care of Theo all day and is teaching him and making him into a good person. Partially a lie since Theo now goes to school between 9 and 3. She said that kids make messes, and if I can't deal with that, then I shouldn't be a father. That I was horrid to say she does nothing when she takes care of a 5-year-old while I'm away. It stopped after a while because Theo came inside from where he was playing in the garden, but I got told to sleep on a couch. I came back from work half an hour ago and I'm still getting silent treatment. So I want to know if I was in the wrong and should apologize. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Theo is in the 2nd year of school. He started when he was 4 and will finish when he's 11. Not the a-hole. Your wife is doing nothing. Sure, childcare is hard, and taking care of a child all day can be a tough thing to do. But your son is in school for 6 freaking hours. What is she doing during that? That's more than enough time to do housework. I myself need an hour to simply mop the floor, do laundry, and do the dishes. Especially the messes your kid makes. Play-Doh on the floor would have earned me a slap on the head and an order of, pick it up and put it away nicely. Your wife is doing nothing all day while your kid is in school and then has the audacity to call you a bad father for working and cleaning? This woman is a joke. OP, I need you to show her this comment section later. And the whole teaching the kid to be a good person. Part of that is teaching your child to clean up after themselves. My 17-month-old helps pick up her toys. She helps throw away the trash and brings her plates to us to wash it. This is a 17-month-old toddler. A 5-year-old kid? They should be cleaning up their own messes by that age.